Hello there.
The door clicks shut behind you with a sound that feels louder than it should. For a moment, you just stand there. Maybe there's rain tapping softly against the window. Or maybe it's completely quiet, so quiet you can hear the faint hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen. Your shoes scrape lightly against the floor as you step inside. The air is still, untouched, like the room has been holding its breath all day, waiting for someone to return. You drop your bag on the chair. It lands with a dull thud. No one looks up. No one asks how your day was. The walls don't notice. The way your shoulders sag just a little more than they did this morning. The light from the hallway spills into the room in a pale, tired glow. You don't turn on the main lamp right away. Instead, you let the dimness settle around you. It feels easier that way. Softer. Less demanding. There's something strangely heavy about this kind of silence. Not dramatic. Not tragic. Just steady. Like a quiet ache that doesn't ask for attention but never quite leaves. You sit on the edge of your bed and stare at the ceiling. The same ceiling you've looked at 100 times before. You scroll through your phone, not really reading anything. Just moving your thumb, filling space. And it's not that you're lonely in the loud, cinematic sense. You have friends. Maybe family. Maybe coworkers who laugh with you during lunch. But right here, in this moment, when the day is over and the world has gone quiet, there's a small, almost invisible weight in your chest. The kind that only shows up when you come home to an empty room. And maybe the hardest part is that nothing is technically wrong. Your life might be moving forward. You're paying your bills. You're showing up. You're answering messages. From the outside, everything looks stable, functional, fine. But an empty room has a way of amplifying what the day helped you ignore. During the day, you're in motion. Conversations, notifications, responsibilities, they act like background music in a cafe. Even if it's chaotic, it's alive. There's proof that you exist in other people's awareness. You respond, they respond back. A small exchange of energy. Then you come home, and the music stops. Silence doesn't distract you. It reflects you. Psychologically, we are wired for connection. Not just deep, dramatic love stories, but micro-connections. A voice calling your name. A casual "how was your day?" The soft evidence that someone else is sharing this exact slice of time with you. When that's absent, the mind starts to wander inward. And inward is quiet territory. It's like standing in a house where the furniture is all there, but no one is sitting on it. The structure of your life exists. But there's no movement, no warmth spreading from one person to another. And that quiet ache, it's not weakness. It's the nervous system noticing the absence of shared presence. Philosophically, maybe it's also something deeper. We spend most of our lives trying to build something, careers, routines, identities. But underneath all of it, what we often crave isn't achievement. It's witness. Someone to witness us being tired. Someone to witness us trying. Someone to witness us simply existing at the end of a long day. When there's no one there, the room feels bigger than it actually is. The air feels heavier. And your thoughts get louder. If you've ever felt that subtle drop in your chest when you turn the key and step inside, I want you to know something. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not dramatic. You're not too sensitive. You're human. And humans were never meant to feel entirely alone in their own echo. I remember one night in particular. It was a Tuesday. Nothing special about it. I had stayed late at work, not because I needed to, but because going home felt optional. The office lights buzzed faintly above me, and most of the desks were already empty. Chairs pushed in. Screens black. The cleaning staff moved quietly in the distance. When I finally packed my bag, the sky outside was already dark. The parking lot was cold and smelled faintly like wet concrete. I unlocked my car, sat in the driver's seat, and just stared at the steering wheel for a few seconds longer than necessary. The drive home was quiet. No music. Just the low hum of the engine and the occasional swipe of headlights passing by. I remember watching the red glow of brake lights in front of me and feeling this strange, hollow calm. Like I was floating between places, not fully belonging to either. When I opened my apartment door, The air inside felt slightly cooler than outside. Still, unmoved. I stepped in and instinctively said, "I'm home." I don't know why I said it. No one was there. The words just slipped out, as if my body expected someone to answer. But nothing did. I kicked off my shoes. The sound echoed more than I expected. I walked into the kitchen, opened the fridge, stared at the shelves without really seeing them. The light inside the fridge felt brighter than the entire apartment. I microwaved leftovers. The plate rotated slowly, the machine humming in steady circles. I leaned against the counter and watched it spin. Like that was the most interesting thing in the world. When I sat down to eat, the chair across from me was empty. Of course it was. But that night, it felt unusually noticeable. I remember scrolling through my phone while chewing, half reading conversations that had already ended hours ago, laughing at a meme alone in my kitchen. The sound of my own laugh startled me. And then, without warning, there was this tightness in my chest. Not sadness exactly, just a quiet realization. This was my life right now. No dramatic music. No big heartbreak. Just me, in a small apartment, eating reheated food in silence. And for the first time, I allowed myself to admit that it felt heavier than I like to pretend. It took me a while to understand that the ache wasn't a sign that something was broken. It was a sign that something inside me was alive. For a long time, I treated those quiet nights like a problem to solve. I filled them with noise, podcasts playing in the background, random videos streaming just to create the illusion of company. I told myself that once I found the right person, or moved to a busier place, or built a more exciting life, the feeling would disappear. But the more I tried to outrun it, the more it followed me. Eventually, I started to sit with it instead. Not dramatically, not in some cinematic, finding myself kind of way. Just small moments. Leaving the room quiet. Eating without scrolling. Letting the silence stretch a little longer than was comfortable. And I began to notice something subtle. The room wasn't only empty. It was also mine. The quiet wasn't only absence. It was space. Space where I didn't have to perform. Space where I didn't have to explain myself. Space where I could exist without being witnessed and still matter. There's something quietly powerful about that. We often believe that meaning only exists when it's shared, that our days only count if someone else sees them. But being alone in a room at the end of the day doesn't erase your effort. It doesn't make your experiences smaller. If anything, it reveals how deeply you care about connection. And maybe that's the shift. The ache isn't there to shame you. It's there to remind you that you value warmth, conversation, presence, that your heart is tuned toward others, that you're capable of love and longing. And instead of seeing the empty room as proof of isolation, I slowly began to see it as a chapter. Not the whole story, just a season where I'm learning how to sit with myself without needing the noise to prove that I exist. So maybe tonight, when you turn the key and step inside, the silence won't feel like an accusation. Maybe it will just feel honest. An honest room. An honest life. An honest moment at the end of a long day. There's something tender about coming home to yourself, even if it doesn't always feel comforting at first. Even if the quiet presses in a little closer than you'd like. That quiet is not there to expose your loneliness. It's there to hold your truth. You are allowed to want company. You are allowed to miss warmth. You are allowed to feel that small ache in your chest when no one answers back. None of it makes you weak. If anything, it means your heart is open. And until the day someone else shares that room with you, until laughter fills the kitchen, until another pair of shoes rests by the door, you are still worthy of tenderness in that space. Light the lamp. Warm your food. Sit at the table. Let the room witness you. Because even in the quiet, even in the stillness, your existence is not small. Your days are not invisible. Your story is not on pause. And maybe the empty room isn't empty at all. Maybe it's simply waiting, with you, for the next chapter to begin.
Thank you for listening, and see you in the next story.